7:16. Looks like we have a quorum. We can get started. Do we have any, let's see here, call a meeting to order, Citizens Forum. The Economic Development Corporation invites citizens to speak on any topic. However, unless the item is specifically noted on this agenda, the Economic Development Corporation is required under the Texas Open Meetings Act to limit its response to responding with a statement of specific factual information, reciting the city's existing policy, or directing the person making the inquiry to visit with staff the city about the issue. No corporation deliberation is permitted. Each person will have 3 minutes to speak. So did we have anybody to speak this evening?
We have two people, but they're here for the volleyball court item.
Okay. We'll get to that in a few minutes then. The first thing is to discuss, consider, and take action on approval of meeting minutes from February 8th, 2021.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as written.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Good. All in favor to approve the minutes from February 8th? I guess raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? All right. So looks like it passed with all ayes, no nays. Review the year-to-date financial statements as of April 2021. Mike, I think that's you.
Nothing significant jumped out this month. Everything is moving right along. So if you have any questions over stuff that I'll be happy to answer them for you. We're at 58% of the budget, almost 60, and we so far everything is moving right along. We have noticed one company that sales tax has diminished significantly over the last few months. We're reaching out to them to try to set something up to visit with them, kind of see what's going on. Hopefully it's just a temporary thing. Looks like the numbers started falling last March, so it could be COVID related, but we'll see. But they are a big payer, so we're going to reach out to them and see if we can help get them back on track.
Mike, we've asked before, is there a amount that's set aside for the Parks and Recreation in the general fund?
Yes.
Can you tell us how much that is?
How much is in there?
Right, for the Parks and Recreation.
I can't give you an exact amount, but it's about, I want to say $225,000 annually.
Thank you.
I can get an exact amount for you and send it out, or I can send you a copy of the Parks and Rec budget if you like.
All right, thank you.
Do you want me to put it in the next packet?
Next packet will be fine, sir.
Okay, yeah, no problem.
One other question. I thought we had closed the chamber off, and I see that we're still paying.
You might see, no, you shouldn't see a payment in here. Where are you, Glenn?
On 300 4B Economic Development, non-departmental.
The revenue summary?
Yes, sir. We have one in there for economic development consultant, and then we're still paying the chamber $9,500.
Now the money that's gone out of that right now has been for the part-time EDC employee. There has been no checks sent to the chamber this quarter or the last quarter. And
well, it's still in there on the statement that it's going to the chamber.
Well, it may be on there as a budget item and as one that was previously sent. That'll show up all year long, but there won't be any more sent. that's been ordered by the mayor until some questions are answered. And I'm not real sure what the status of all that is. I know our EDC person, Miranda, that works with the chamber, has submitted her resignation. She will be leaving soon. Currently, I have no plans to replace that position. I think, and we will take a look at that as we start preparing next year's budget, looking at how beneficial that position was. Did we get anything for it? And it's kind of been the same with the chamber. There's been a feeling that not much is going on. The council wanted to have the chamber board president, or I guess chairperson, come before them with an audit and to answer some questions about what's going on and how things are working through the pandemic and all that. And there seemed to be some hesitancy to do that. And the last I heard is it looked like that the chamber could be, may even be closing its doors for a while. I don't know that to be sure, but I don't know the status of them as of yet. But I do know that no more quarterly checks are going out to them. That I can
Thank
assure you.
you. Thank you. I appreciate it, Mike.
Yes, sir.
All right. Any other questions on the April 2021 year-to-date financial statements? All right, then. Let's move on to discuss and receive information about the MVP playgrounds and on the play structures for the new Cooper Valley Park.
Alice, did our gentleman show up from the playground company?
They're here.
You're here for the volleyball. Yeah, no, sir. I only have two people here to speak, and it's on a volleyball court.
Okay. Well, we had scheduled for a playground structure supplier who's going to come and bring some information on a slide structure, a little toy structure for the park in Cooper Valley. I
'Cause we
don't
had looked at
know.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. We had looked at a couple different options previously back in February, I think.
Right, and he was going to come down and give you some information on the popular stuff, what worked good, what worked, what didn't, age ranges, and he was just going to, and then pass out some information on. We selected 2 or 3 different options to kind of look at. We're trying to get a gauge of how big you want to go and how much you want.
Best bang for your buck.
Well, and the unfortunate part is when you get up past the $25,000 mark, it goes from there up to the $50,000 and $60,000. They get very expensive very quick, and that doesn't include installation. So he was going to come talk about the breakdowns and what the stopping points were and that sort of thing. I'll have to reach out to him. I don't know if maybe the weather has got him slowed up, or I haven't heard from him, but I will see if I can reschedule that.
Okay.
Thank you.
So then I guess we'll move on to discuss, consider possible action on adding a volleyball court in the city park. So
I was
there's-
approached by a council member who I guess had been in touch with some people and had inquired about the possibility of installing a volleyball court at the park. I don't know whether, well, I'm pretty sure a request for volleyball court has not been considered at this point, but it would be a pretty easy addition. A few years ago, the park board, they tried to add something in the park each year. And so I guess this is, I know Mr. Fleming was going to, I think I see him out here tonight, and then maybe someone else that he's been speaking to. And if there's an interest for this, I guess then we need to kind of figure out what I've been kind of looking at volleyball courts and looking at sizes and sport courts and 2-on-2s, and I'm learning about sand volleyball versus grass versus just all kinds of. I think you can do this as little or as big as you want. We do have the room, so I don't think that'll be an issue. So I guess it's maybe just kind of finding out exactly what they're looking for. Are we going to do sand? Is it going to be grass? I mean, just kind of some of those things. Then I can start putting together some proposals, and then we'll have the conversation. Is this a mid-year funded event, or is this something that we want to budget for the next fiscal year? We will have to have a public hearing on it if y'all decide to pursue it, to expend those funds. But I kind of need some direction on what the playing field, what it is we're looking at before I go any farther. The one thing I don't want to do is to put something out there that doesn't look nice. We've been very particular about what goes in the park, even if it's been at the expense of a better quality. I don't think we should change that view. That stuff gets used quite a bit, and putting something cheap out there is just going to be a maintenance issue, and nobody has time for any more of that. So I'd be interested to hear from the folks there tonight about what type of court and what size, and get some of that information.
Agreed. Yep.
All right, well, Mr. Cronenberg and the rest of the board. My name is Robert Fleming. I live at 1010 Green Hill Court here in Joshua. So as Mr. Peacock was saying, I was approached by a bunch of like athletes and stuff from the school. You know, they use the basketball court already a whole lot that's there. They said it'd be a great idea if we could add a volleyball pit, you know, maybe like a beach volleyball set up with the sand, as we were discussing earlier. So me having a lawn business and landscape business, I just kind of broke it down so you guys would have just a, you know, just a basic kind of ballpark idea of what it would cost. You know, the regulation size is like 60 by 30. I used to do some mowing for a HOA in Crowell, and they have a regulation size, and it's about the same size, about 60 by 30. And it's sand, and there's always people there. So that's 1,800 square feet. And if you went about 12 inches with sand, that's 66 yards, and it's $40 a yard for sand. So for under $3,000, you can have sand. And kind of like what Mike was saying earlier, the nets, I mean, you can get them just as cheap or, you know, as expensive as you'd like. But, you know, I looked online, you know, the last couple of days, and for the complete setup with the poles and the cushions and everything, so somebody doesn't get hurt, in more than about $1,200 to $1,300. And that's UV rated for being outdoor, and you know, it's kind of what they consider their public heavy duty use, you know, net and stuff like that. So, I mean, you know, I think for $5,000 ballparkish, you know, I think it'd be a good addition. Yes, they're here also to speak about it. I don't know these guys, but looks like there's already some kind of attraction to it. So I'll let them go ahead and speak. And if you guys have any questions for me.
What in Crowley, does it have a concrete border around it, old sand, or?
No, so what they did was they just kind of dug it straight down, and then they just filled it full of sand. So there's no border there. There's not a wood or concrete or anything like that. They just dug it in a.
Probably be safer without it.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say. So the maintenance guys there, when they mow, they just kind of edge it really good. And I think, you know, looks like last year they brought in a little bit of sand and filled back it up, because over time, you know, it comes out. But
Thanks.
yeah, and I would imagine you could probably save a lot of the sand if you were, you know, if you did border it. But I mean, really for $40 a yard, you know, you know, if you put concrete there, maybe somebody's teeth get knocked out, maybe they don't, I don't know. But you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, for $40 a yard, I mean, I think it wouldn't cost that much to replace sand over, you know, years worth of using it, so. But I mean, that's y'all's expertise, not mine.
My concern, and I think, Mike, you talked about, the maintenance is what bothers me on this, because I have seen them in parks. And if they're not maintained, of course, that grass starts growing in and it starts coming up from underneath. And it's, yeah, you gotta put a liner in there, but it's one of the worst looking things if grass starts growing in there. It's not maintained. It just, now the use, I don't know. I think that ones I have seen are used, and I've seen some in some parks that are very rarely used, and especially when grass starts growing in there and they're not being maintained, people don't come to them. They're just not going to show up.
Sure.
The maintenance is the only thing that I question about it. I think it's a good idea, but I question, are we going to be able to maintain it, and who's going to maintain it? And I know that falls back on the city, but still, just a concern.
No, I totally understand. And, you know, in my business, I think maybe it's important at least to suggest that, you know, if we were to put it down, like you said, the barrier underneath, you know, instead of putting like an actual landscaping barrier, the better thing to do in that situation is a hardscape barrier. So like 3 mil plastic, you know, at the bottom. So that way, you know, nothing will grow up through the bottom of it. You know, maybe over time, you know, if they don't keep it edged out, which I mean, they have the equipment here to do it. But if, you know, I guess if they neglected it over time, maybe grass would start to grow in. But as long as you've got a good plastic in the bottom of it, shouldn't have anything growing up inside of it. Maybe just around the sides, and that shouldn't be too difficult to edge back out and get it back, you know, in the proper shape. But I do understand what you're saying, for sure. Yeah, they look terrible if they don't keep them up. So,
About how deep did you say? About 12 inches deep on the sand?
yeah, I was, you know, I think 12 inches would probably suffice, you know.
I think it's a little shallow.
What's that?
I think it's a little shallow. I mean, so back in my younger, more athletic days, you know, we played a lot.
Is that the same as when you had hair?
Yeah. It was about the same. Yeah, it's about the same time. But we played a lot of sand volleyball, like up at Hughley and a couple different places. And man, I think that was like 18 inches deep or something. I mean, there was some kind of weird spec on that. But yeah, I completely agree with you on not having like a border or things like that, or if you do, like a railroad tie or something like that that's sunk down into the ground, that's even with the ground, that actually holds the sand in but doesn't stick up above. I mean, I've seen that. You know, I think you definitely have to have something down for the weeds, because I 1000% agree that as soon as you get weeds and stuff in there, people are like, this kind of sucks. I also think the type of sand that you use is important. Some of that sand go hot. You can't even go out there during the middle of the day. So it needs to be like a white sand, which, you know, this is just, again, back in my volleyball days, you know, that's what everybody liked, right? You know, it's soft on the feet, blah, blah, blah. So I think if we do this, I think you need to do it right. I think you need to you know, make it to where it's appealing all day long and evening, you know, and it's not, and you want to cut down on maintenance. So I think if you do it right the first time, then that'll help.
True, yeah, and just so you know, the sand that I priced out is fine screen sand, which is what they use in volleyball pits, and so you know, as far as 12 inches or 18 inches, you probably have a better idea there than I do, because I don't play volleyball. I was thinking 12 inches was fairly deep, but obviously, you know, the deeper you go, the less problems you're going to have with stuff growing up through it. You know, because that's going to separate the seed from soil contact there. You know, so, but yeah, I like it, so.
It's a good idea. It is.
Well, just for the sake of the conversation, I've reached out and spoke to a friend of mine that got me some information on the new the volleyball courts that were built a few years back at TCU. And the design he sent me over is each side of the net is kind of a barrel foundation on the bottom, the midpoint being 2.5 feet deep, and then it kind of tapers up to 1 foot at the net, and then it goes between 2.5 to 2 feet on both sides.
Wow.
And that allows for a drainage channel to be put down in the middle of it to collect water and drain it off. And like I say, the sand is going to be, is not going to be a horrible expense here. So, but I wanted to find out, he's working on getting me the fabric that they used there and kind of how they did all that. So, because drainage obviously is of concern out there, and plus picking the spot, we've got irrigation lines that are going to have to be moved and dealt with, and so I'd like to get it close to the walking trails up by the restrooms, because I'm going to reach out to see about getting them lighted. And United Co-op put all those lights in around the walking trail. It would be easy to channel over, maybe put a few lights on this thing at night so that people could play at night.
Yeah.
Cool.
Good idea.
When it's actually cool and you can go outside.
Yeah. Well, and
That's all y'all have
put
to
it close
be.
to the splash pad, so when they get hot, they can go run through the water to splash pad.
Yeah. That's all y'all got for me. I'm gonna sit down and let these gentlemen speak, so.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Robert.
Yeah, thank you.
My name is Samuel Ainsworth. I live on 108 Cedar Crest Street. My interest here, it sounds like y'all have a really good plan working. It's way farther ahead of what I was even thinking. But my interest here was when I was younger, back in my athletic days, I still have my hair. But when I was athletic, I used to play tournaments. And I've been looking for a place to go other than Lake Pat Cleburne. And I mean, they're just sitting up there on the beach, and they've got a sand pit and 2 poles and a net, and that's where we go to play. But it's kind of far for us. And my wife and kids, I mean, we really utilize the park. And when I saw it came up, I love it. And I wasn't even necessarily thinking of sand, but I mean, that'd definitely be the way to go. That's the best way to play. And I've got a lot of friends who thoroughly enjoy it. I mean, that's really all I was here to say. I just wanted to vote in favor of it. I think it's an awesome idea, and it'd be a great thing to add to the park. We love it.
We appreciate your interest.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
What were you, what were you thinking? Just a grass court is what you were thinking?
Well, I mean, something better than the nets that I can
I understand.
set up in my yard. I mean, they're so flimsy. You can't play volleyball that way. So.
Right.
But I mean, you could do it with grass. I agree with y'all. It wouldn't look as good. No, sand would be way better.
I think what the park needs to look like is the way Mike was describing it. I think we need, if we're gonna do it, do it right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I mean, and in that case, what y'all were describing with, 2.5 feet deep and a barrel of drainage system, I mean, that'd be way better than what we even use.
It'd be easy to maintain that way.
Absolutely.
I haven't officially signed up for a speaker form, so I want to make sure I'm within my rights.
You're welcome to speak.
Thank you. My name's Joshua. I'm actually his brother, but I used to play in a volleyball league, and really that was one of the main issues for our volleyball league, was finding a good spot to go to practice. We had the official courts that we would play at, but in order to practice, that was one of the biggest issues, was finding a place to do that. He said Lake Pat Cleburne, that was one of the places that we had tried to use, because it's away, that was a real difficulty. And I think personally, I don't do it anymore, but I think personally, the volleyball leagues that are still going on, that would just be a huge asset to them. That would be definitely something that would be used and very well appreciated within the community to have installed.
And that's what drives the Parks and Recreation Board. It's a community.
Right.
It would be a good asset. It'd be a good draw.
Yep. All right. So anybody else have any questions on this? Volleyball court? Any other comments, Mike?
I guess all I need from you guys is some direction. If this is something that you have an interest in, I will start putting a proposal together for you guys. I'll work with Robert and maybe some of the other guys there. Alice, if you'll get information on them, we
Yes,
can
sir.
reach out to them and put something together for y'all. So with that direction, and if this is there a season for volleyball? Is there a
If it's
like
warm
a
enough
time
to
of
play.
year where it's more prominent, or is it kind of an all year round?
Usually it's a spring and summer sport. It's not necessarily widely popular during the winter. I think the only times that we ever played winter games was when we had to actually rent out the brick in Burleson. We used their indoor courts, but that was only one league playing at that time. There was not widespread playing happening during the week, the winter. So I think spring and summer is like primarily the seasons that you're looking at for that being popular.
So I think if the direction that y'all want to pursue is to do this, and then we'll start putting this stuff together and kind of bring you a proposal of how something like this could look. Give me time to take a look at the budget impact, and then based on that, decide if this is, I mean, I think if you want to do it mid-year, we probably could. Just like I say, we'd need to do a public hearing about it and set the funding aside. And then, or if you wanted to wait until next year, just put it in the budget. So I'll start, if that's what you want, I'll start getting that together for your next meeting.
I mean,
Sounds
as
good to
far
me,
as-
Mike.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, I think I'd like to see more on it. I think it's a great idea. Kim,
You guys have a preference out there where it would go? Robert, have you looked out there where you think it might fit well?
I did take a look. I was looking today on my map, and I'm trying to remember kind of like that from what I was looking at, kind of that northwestern corner over toward the like the ballpark.
Yeah.
There was like a pretty big wide open space over there, kind of, where the what is that? Where the walking trail kind of makes like a 180 right there. There's a pretty big.
Yeah, there's a couple of acres right there that's actually open space.
Yeah.
That's required by Parks and Wildlife. I have a call into them to make sure that the volleyball court wouldn't be considered permanent structure. We can't build anything permanent in that open space, that one or the one on the other side of the pond. But I don't think this will comply because they told me the parking lot wasn't considered. Part of this area here is where overflow parking for baseball is going to go.
Okay.
At some point, and they determined that because parking lot is largely flat work, that's not permanent either. So they okayed the parking lot. I don't see any reason why they wouldn't okay this. And this is small enough that, Mike could even go a little closer towards the splash pad end. There's some area out there where it would not affect the parking lot. Could actually give options for more parking out there.
Yeah, the basketball court, if I remember correctly, I think it's 50 by like 94. So like when I was looking at it, like just on an overhead view, you're looking at way smaller than the basketball court,
Yeah, I think there's a few places that we could place it. that wouldn't affect drainage from other, like I say, there's drainage lines out there, there's irrigation. We'd have to deal with those, but that's not a huge jump. So
Yeah.
we'll come up with some recommendations for places to try and keep it close to the restrooms and
Cool.
that sort of thing.
Thank you
We
guys.
get
Thank you
that
very
for you
much.
May, June. Yeah, we should be able to get that for you for your next meeting.
All right. I think that's all of that. Any future agenda items, requests to be on the next agenda?
Don't have anything.
All
I
right,
don't have
then.
anything.
Nobody has anything else, then I think this meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for coming. It's 7:47 p.m.